This local sports report is brought to you by Peter Izzio from Izzio Financial Solutions, helping you ensure financial stability for your family or business. Call Peter today for expert advice from an experienced advisor. Call now to book an appointment at 519-576-5410.
There is a lot of positive energy around the Laurier Golden Hawks football program right now, and here is Michael Faulds, the head coach, to tell us about some recruits in the CFL Draft, where 3 players were picked. First of all, though, Michael, let's talk about the potential season. Normally, you would be opening training camp in the middle of August. What can you tell us about the status of the OUA football season?
Yeah, I think it's like everything right now, Darren, where there are more questions than answers. Typically at this time of year, we've just finished, our spring camp. Our players have just finished exams. We typically, have 3-4 players at East-West Bowl, and then we'd start our summer training. So right now, we're in constant contact with our players and our coaches, and giving them transparent updates that we really don't know. But we're also, positive energy and trying to stay optimistic, thinking, we'll be back out on the field in September, and that's what we all hope.
How have you been forced to adapt as a program and yourself based on the circumstances? You're right. Normally you'd have a spring camp. The players would be in the gym. They'd have their morning runs and their morning workouts. Obviously right now, none of that is possible. So how have you kind of pivoted as a program to make sure that you are prepared if we get back to football in September?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is you're just so used to, as a coach, seeing your players and coaches every single day, right? Especially during the weeks of a spring camp. We would literally have meetings and practice every day for a total of about 4 hours a day. So that, face-to-face contact hasn't happened. We've been able to adjust by, having Zoom meetings, just like we're doing right now. So we're able to have meetings where we're showing film, showing playbook and that type of stuff. But you're right, it isn't the same. From a training standpoint, obviously, everyone has, in their own house or their own apartment, a variety of different setups. So some guys are very fortunate where they even have a squat rack and a bench press and some dumbbells. Some guys literally have nothing. So our strength coach, Jesse Collins, has had to be really creative in terms of workouts. And we're hopeful guys are doing that. We're telling them, whether you put your sibling on your back, whether you grab a knapsack and load it up with, rice and potatoes, whatever it is, try to find ways to get better. Yeah. And that's what I've been telling the guys naturally. I'm like, when we get out of COVID-19, there are going to be those athletes that look back at it and use it as an excuse. Well, because of the pandemic, I couldn't do this. I can't do this. I'm not the player I used to be. And there are going to be those that use this bout of adversity to say it's created the player, the student athlete that I am today. Having to deal with that adversity, having to go through those circumstances, I'm now better off. And that's kind of the attitude we're trying to take with this.
Let's talk about a couple of your new recruits, including Zack Harvey, a talented defensive back who comes to you from the St. Mary's Eagles in District 8. You know Kyle Armour, the head coach of the Eagles, very well, obviously. Played against him in OUA football when you were a member at Western. Kyle's done a great job at St. Mary's, Golden Hawk alumni right there. What can you say about Zack and the skill set that he brings to the Golden Hawks, Michael?
Yeah, well, first off, Kyle Armour does a great job. He's a great leader of men. So we're, anytime he advises us on a player, we take that advice and, we're fully on board, so Coach Van Moorkirk and I said, Zack Harvey's a player we want to bring in. Obviously he had a good season with St. Mary's. He's always good with the Predators, a good solid player and, a better character guy and a good student as well. So we're excited about that addition. And, anytime you can add a local guy like that, who's great character, it's a plus for the program.
I know another big plus of the program was the signing of Taylor Elgart, a Oak Ridge quarterback from London, a tall, talented kid, very good skill set. And I know that you guys were really pleased to get him. I really got that sense when I looked at some of the social media posts. Tell me about Taylor and what he brings to the Golden Hawks.
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that's a national prospect. Several teams across the country wanted him. He's a 6'5" guy, like you mentioned, a big pocket passer. But really, it's his eagerness and him being a student of the game. He wants to be really good. The number of times he's reached out to offensive coordinator Todd Galloway to learn the playbook, look at film already, has been super impressive. So to cap it all off, he's a 90% student and wants kinesiology. So again, we're always looking for great players on the field, but guys that are going to do really well academically and be great in this Laurier community.
Well, and the other thing too, Michael, we've talked about this a number of times, is getting these kids from high school to the OUA into the real world or into the CFL, which is what happened just about a week ago. Now you had another 3 players drafted into the Canadian Football League in the draft. Sam Acheampong, one of them, Brad Cowan, another one, and Tanner Cadwallader, 3 extremely talented young men. How proud are you to see them go to the next level and maybe give the viewers an idea of what these teams are getting in these 3 young men?
Yeah, I think the draft night is always a little bittersweet for all of us coaches. The sweet part is obviously the 3 names you mentioned. We're so ecstatic for all of them. And then the bitter side is, there's 3, 4, 5 other guys that were hoping to have their name called that didn't get it called. So that's the tough, emotions that we deal with. But in terms of the 3, Sam Acheampong, I think everyone agreed as of the last couple years that he was going to be a pro football player. And the Argos getting him with already, Nakis and Curly and Aki and Ronnie, so many of our former players being with the Argos is phenomenal setup for him, being a Brampton grown-up person. And then in terms of Brad and Tanner, super impressed with them because they're true testaments to getting stronger and dealing with adversity. Not many people know, but Brad missed a full season because of a really bad wrist injury. And Tanner's had, some knee injuries and hamstring injuries and so on. So both of them work extremely hard in the weight room, great character guys. And I know, Brad going to his hometown of Ottawa is a great setup. And I know, in speaking with Kyle Walters of Winnipeg, they looked at Tanner as, a player that can run down on special teams. They love his motor and they love how he tackles.
The hallmark of this program for a long time has been defense. All 3 of these players are defensive players. Let me give a shout out to Ron Van Moorkirk, who's been around Laurier football what feels like forever. Obviously, there's other coaches involved as well. Who are some of the coaches on your staff that help develop these young men?
Yeah, well, I'd say you hit the nail on the head. Coach Van Moorkirk being our defensive coordinator, the longest tenured defensive coordinator in the country right now. And to a man, every single one of his, current players and past players would absolutely run through a wall for him. That's how highly they think of him. So these guys have developed. Obviously, you recruit an individual and a player that you think has this type of high ceiling that they can one day play pro football. But there's so many people that go into impacting the daily basis, both academically and athletically. And we're super proud that all 3 of them have truly, checked off one of those goals, and that's, being drafted into pro football.
That is 13 players in the last 4 years drafted into the CFL from the Golden Hawks. A great development program continuing. Thanks for the time, Michael. We'll chat with you soon.
All right. Thanks, Darren.
For more highlights, visit our website, 519sportsonline.ca. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.